Hello friends, Lou Pickney with you here. The DKDB. I personally curated 2026 NFL mock draft database. It is updated. The Super Bowl is now in the record books. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks. Victorious over the New England Patriots. So Seattle, the Super Bowl champions. Now we start to look ahead. The upcoming NFL Combine, and then eventually the NFL Draft. Night 1 takes place on April 23rd. To unveil my latest 2026 NFL mock draft to you here. Be sure to follow, subscribe here on YouTube. Newly rebranded DKDB. It is off to a hot start and some great response for it thus far. And so let's take a look at what my latest 2026 NFL mock draft reveals. Updated as of today. Number 1, Las Vegas Raiders, Fernando Mendoza, quarterback Indiana. That's all but a lock at this point. It would be stunning if that didn't happen. At 2, New York Jets, Unveils Reese, linebacker, Ohio State. A very unique prospect. Can play as an elite edge rusher, but also can play off-ball linebacker. And if you need him to, he can drop back into coverage. So the Jets will have a few options there. The Jets had 0 interceptions for the entire 2025 season. Completely unheard of. It never happened before the NFL, going all the way back to the 1930s. So the Jets have to do some things to improve on defense, and here at 2, the Jets get Unveils Reese. At number 3, Arizona Cardinals. Got them going offensive tackle. With CC, Francis Maui-Noah. Very talented offensive tackle, would fill a need at right tackle for the Cardinals. There's also the thought that the Cards might go with an edge rusher here. There's a lot of elite talent at edge rusher in this draft, but in this case, the Cardinals get Maui-Noah as the first offensive tackle taken. Number 4, my hometown Tennessee Titans. Got them taking Reuben Bain Jr., edge rusher, Miami. The thought there for the Titans, if they don't go wide receiver, but they go with an edge rusher, it would either be Reuben Bain Jr., Unveils Reese if he happens to be there, he's not here, or David Bailey from Texas Tech. That's the thought there, but Bain, because he has the ability to play as a 3-down defensive end, you can keep him in there on 1st and 2nd down, even against the run. He's stout. So Bain at 4 to the Titans. At 5, New York Giants. I'm sticking for now at least with Mansour Delane, corner from LSU, the transfer from Virginia Tech. Had a great 2025 season for LSU. Otherwise, lackluster season for the Tigers, but Delane was a hit. And there's the possibility of him going top 5. And that's going to depend, of course, with the New York Giants, how they value things, obviously. But the question is, do you see someone like Delane as a top 5 talent? Because there seems to be a bit of a divide. There's 2 lines of thinking. I've noticed more with the NFL.com analysts. They seem to think pretty highly of these cornerback prospects. There'll be several going early. There's a good case to be made for Delane for the Giants at 5. At least the way it looks now. Remember, free agency is going to impact a lot of this. This is just the outlook as it is right now. At number 6, Cleveland Browns, Carnell Tate. It makes so much sense because Tate is such an effective player at getting open that 3 seconds or less, that unique ability that Tate has. He's got great hands, doesn't drop the ball. And so Cleveland also with the number 24 pick in the first round of this draft. But here the Browns take Carnell Tate. Not too far away in Columbus, Ohio, playing with the Buckeyes, but up to Cleveland. According to my latest mock draft. Number 7, Washington Commanders, David Bailey. Thought being, the Commanders will likely have a shot at either Reese or Bain or Bailey. And in this case, they get David Bailey, really good edge rusher, Texas Tech. It's a high-profile transfer from Stanford in the 2024 season. A lot of pressure on him, and he had a great year with the Red Raiders. At number 8, New Orleans Saints, Makai Lemon. I think the Saints could really benefit from drafting one of these top wide receivers. There's not a clear-cut number 1 at receiver. Opinions will vary. This is with Tate off the board, obviously, but here, Makai Lemon to the Saints at 8. They might think Jordan Tyson as well, receiver out of Arizona State. At number 9, Kansas City Chiefs. For the first time in a while, Chiefs drafting in the top 10. Here I've got them taking Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. Love is a special player. Running back is not a priority position like it once was. But if you're an elite talent, and he's proven durability, consistency, just as important in the modern NFL, he's great at catching the ball, a reliable receiver. If you're going to be a running back taken in the top 10, you've got to have that special something. And so it would be interesting to see Love in an offense with Patrick Mahomes and company. Kansas City might also consider an edge rusher depending on who's available here at this spot. At number 10, Cincinnati Bengals, Caleb Downs, safety, Ohio State. If it happens, Downs would be the first pure safety drafted in the top 10 of the NFL draft in 10 years. Go all the way back to 2016. Number 11, Miami Dolphins, Jermod McCoy. So with Mansour Delane already off the board, the Dolphins fill a major need right here. McCoy suffered a torn ACL in January of last year, but the expectation is that he's going to have complete recovery. He'll be able to work out well and is expected to impress teams with his workouts. So this has McCoy to the Dolphins at 11. Number 12, my brand new post-Super Bowl 2026 NFL mock draft. I've got it on mockdraftnfl.com. And at 12, Cowboys Sonny Styles. Remember, the Cowboys also have the number 20 pick. And if you like Styles, a linebacker that started his college career in Columbus as a safety, these dynamic Ohio State high-end defensive prospects, Styles is right up there. He's been impressing people. And so if the Cowboys want Styles at 20, he might not be there. So I thought as you go with Styles here at 12, and then you'll see who's there, maybe an edge rusher or perhaps corner at number 20. And number 13, the LA Rams with the selection they got from the Atlanta Falcons. But the Rams going with Jordan Tyson. Tyson might be a top 10 pick when he's healthy. He is absolutely electric. The question is, can he handle the rigors of the 17-game NFL schedule? If you believe he can be a huge difference maker for the Rams. At 14, Baltimore Ravens, Peter Woods. Defensive tackle, Clemson. Woods needs to have a strong performance in Indianapolis at the Combine, which starts later this month. He is exceptionally quick for having defensive tackle size. The only question is not a doubt if he can pass rush. He's exceptionally, that quickness really helps get into the opposing quarterbacks. The question is he strong enough against the run to warrant using a mid-first pick on him? We'll see how Woods does at the Combine, and here the Ravens go Peter Woods at 14. At 15, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Cassius Howell. Edge, Texas A&M. Last season for the Aggies, Howell had 11.5 sacks. Go up against SEC-level competition. The knock on Howell is that his measurables are not in the ideal range. It's similar to the knock on Ruben Bain Jr. But just look at the tape of Howell from last season. The guy can produce. And so the Bucs, if Sonny Styles isn't there, I think if Styles is there, then the Bucs could go that direction. But instead here, Cassius Howell, edge rusher, Texas A&M to the Tampa Bay Bucs at 15. This is my brand new mock draft. Just published not too long ago, earlier this morning. At 16, the New York Jets got Ty Simpson. Kind of got back and forth on this. It's tough to get a read on what the Jets are going to do. They have 3 first-round picks in next year's draft, so maybe don't force it at quarterback. But if they like Simpson, if he's there at 16, it depends on who the Jets like at quarter. And talk about trying to get some interceptions. That might be helpful, but wide receiver as well might be a consideration. But here I've got the Jets going Ty Simpson, quarterback, Alabama. Simpson, 23 years old. Fewer than 20 college starts, but he grew up in the business. His father coached for many years at University of Tennessee Martin. So Simpson at 16 to the Jets. At 17, Detroit Lions. Now, this is a bit of a slide, but Spencer Fano, offensive tackle, Utah. He could be a top 3 pick. He could go to Arizona at number 3. That's a distinct possibility. But it's not a given, and inevitably, there will be some players that will slide. That's just the way it works. And there have been some mixed reviews as far as is Fano really top 5 or top 10 material? I mean, he's going to be a first-round pick in all likelihood. That would be a major shocker if he weren't. But just the question is where. Here at 17, nice pickup for the Lions if he's there, Spencer Fano. Number 18, Minnesota Vikings. A lot of Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, safety out of Toledo. But corner, also a major need for the Vikings. They'll be day 2 and even day 3 talent at safety for the Vikings potentially. But for an elite corner, Avion Terrell, solid season, solid career with the Clemson Tigers. If you believe he's got the ability to... The only question with Terrell is, can he physically hold up to the grind of the NFL schedule? If he can do that, he could be a major difference maker for the Vikings. At 19, Carolina Panthers, Kenyon Sadiq. Panthers have a lot of different options here, including edge rusher. But in this case, Sadiq. Right, it appears at this point Sadiq is the only tight end likely to be picked in the first round. You never know, there's always surprises, but the way it looks now, and the question is how high would he go? Maybe as high as number 9 to, I've even seen higher, but at least number 9 at Kansas City might be a consideration, but ultimately Sadiq here at 19 to the Carolina Panthers. Number 20, Dallas Cowboys. Remember, they at number 12 in this mock, got them taking Sonny Styles, linebacker safety hybrid. Back here at 20, they really need help at edge rusher. Keldrick Falk, he's got some size, excellent talent. I don't think there's a high confidence that Falk would even be here at this point. But if he is, advantage Dallas. Falk to the Cowboys at 20, a pick that the Cowboys got by way of the Micah Parsons trade with the Packers. Number 21, Pittsburgh Steelers, Zachariah Branch. Talk about electric players. He's got that extra gear he kicks it into. A slot receiver, exceptionally fast. If you're going to play slot, you're not going to be a slowpoke. But Branch, there's something special with him. And there's been plenty of talk about Branch as a first rounder from people that sometimes hint things toward me. And other people as well. It's not just directly to me. But here, Branch to the Steelers. I like the matchup. Would feel a need for the Steelers at 21. 22, LA Chargers with Vega. You know I'm a huge fan of that matchup. Interior offensive line is a perceived need spot for the Chargers. And so Los Angeles Chargers, Ioane Vega, 22. Number 23, Philadelphia Eagles, TJ Parker. Parker had a very strong showing in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. Those practices, and really the practices are more important than the actual game itself, because this is where you can, for the first time, see some of these players against outside competition. Parker was talked about before the season as a top 10 prospect. Clemson had a down year. I don't know what happened at Clemson. It felt like something was going on there that the outside world didn't know about, as far as players not performing the way you want them to. He's a tremendous talent, though, and I think he's going to continue to impress people. He might not be there at 23, but if he is for the Eagles, TJ Parker. Number 24, Cleveland Browns. Going Carnell Tatum at number 6. Back on the board here at 24, and they go Caden Proctor, offensive tackle / guard, Alabama. Proctor, 6'7", 366 pounds, and yet athletic enough where if need be, he could play guard depending on where he ends up. Got some versatility. He would most likely play tackle for the Browns if they were to get Proctor there at 24. At 25, Chicago Bears, Caleb Banks. Defensive tackle, Florida, had a strong showing in Mobile. The Senior Bowl, Banks was injured for the bulk of last season, and so he didn't get to really get the reps in to show off what he can do. But when he's healthy, he's just a special talent, extremely athletic for his size. He made some positive impressions in Mobile. Here I've got the Bears going, and they could go with a number of directions with tackle here, but Banks looking stronger and stronger to the Bears here at 25. At number 26, Buffalo Bills, Casey Concepcion. Wide receiver, Texas A&M. Like that pairing right there. And for the 49ers, number 27, Denzel Boston. Receiver, Washington Huskies. Got that size, 6'4". Very talented player. Number 28, Monroe Freeling. Offensive lineman, Georgia. And the Texans could use help on their interior offensive line. Freeling's got some versatility, which always helps. Houston, a very strong defense. Now, perhaps trying to add a piece to its offensive line. Make another strong push in the 2026 season. At number 29, the LA Rams back on the board. So if the Rams go with a wide receiver at number 13, in this case, Jordan Tyson, then back at 29, and it's Brandon Cisse, corner, South Carolina. Expected to do very well in the NFL Combine, the drills, high-end speed, high expectations for Cisse. And here the Rams go with Brandon Cisse at number 29. At 30, the Denver Broncos, C.J. Allen, linebacker, Georgia. Just because the off-ball linebacker position is not seen as a premium spot, Allen is going to have a limited window in all likelihood on how high he will go. But he's a tremendous talent. He'd be a great fit for that Denver defense. And so, also, the Broncos could go with another linebacker here, like perhaps Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas. But I've got the Broncos, if he's on the board, no guarantee of that. But C.J. Allen, Georgia linebacker at 30. At number 31, the New England Patriots. New England, AFC Conference champion this year. Akeem Mesidor turns 25 in April, which means old as an NFL draft prospect. You will seldom hear of, especially for a lineman, a 25-year-old lineman to be a first-round pick. That's not the norm. But Mesidor had a great season with Miami Hurricanes. A great 1-2 combo off the edge opposite Ruben Bain Jr. And so the Patriots, I think for teams that have the talent, obviously the talent to win now, the Patriots just played in the Super Bowl last night. So maybe adding a piece to the edge with Mesidor here would be the right move for the Patriots. And finally at 32, Seattle Seahawks. Their defense played a whale of a game in that Super Bowl, didn't they? But for Seattle, the inevitability, when you win the Super Bowl and you've got guys that are free agents, they're going to sign deals elsewhere. It's the way it works. And so Seattle's, the expectation is they're going to need to get at least one top corner. And they're in a fortunate spot, whether it's Colton Hood or any number of other potential risers to this late first round. I've got Chris Johnson, cornerback, San Diego State. I think he'll do well as far as the testing goes. And it could be a good fit with that Seattle team that just won the Super Bowl. Congratulations, Seahawks fans. Shout out Scott Massey, my buddy Scott up in Seattle. I'd be thrilled up there with that. So that's my latest mock draft. You can find it, always find the latest one on mockdraftnfl.com. So I'm going to react to a couple of mock drafts that have just come out this morning. There are a bunch more that were starting to come out right when I was getting the show ready to go. All right, we're going to get this. Need to get the show taped and ready to go and have it ready to get online for that midday rush. So let's get to it, shall we? First, let's take a look at, for the first time, I'll be reacting to Connor Rogers, of NBC Sports. NBCsports.com. You can find links, and I'll have in the description of this YouTube video, I'll have links to these mock drafts. I encourage you to read them. Some excellent explanations to go with. Let me get the keyboard as well to help with this. Let's take a look, shall we, at what Connor Rogers of NBC Sports has for his mock draft 1.0. Mendoza to the Raiders at 1, of course. Next. Now this interests me. David Bailey. Oop, too far. David Bailey, edge, Texas Tech. As much as the thought is that Arvell Reese is a likely consideration here for the Jets, Bailey's going to be in play. Ruben Bain Jr. will be in play. And I think that if Reese is on the board, it's different if you have an edge rusher. I'm not as sure. But someone like Reese with that flexibility position-wise for the Cardinals at 3, I can see it. If they're not sold on any of these offensive tackles in this class being a top 3 talent, Reese certainly fits the bill. So here it's Arizona with Arvell Reese. This is my reaction to the first mock draft of this cycle for Connor Rogers of NBC Sports. For 4, Ruben Bain Jr. of the Titans. I love the matchup. If you've watched any of my material, you know I'm a big fan of Bain. That tenacity. Bulldog or junkyard dog, whatever metaphor you want to make. He brings it. And so Bain, with that size, can play as a 3-down defensive end, which would make him, I think, especially a nice fit with the Titans. At 5, New York Giants. And there's thought they may go offensive tackle here, especially if everybody's on the board, including Francis Maui Noah. A solid career with the Miami Hurricanes and perhaps going to the Giants. That's the prediction here at number 5. Again, my reaction to the first mock draft from Connor Rogers of NBC Sports for 2026. Connor at 6, Carnell Tate to the Browns, just like what I have. At 7, Sonny Styles to the Commanders. You see that sometimes. There is some Sonny Styles to Washington talk. Much like there's some talk that they may go with Ohio State safety Caleb Downs there. But instead, Washington goes Sonny Styles, linebacker. At 8, Connor has Jordan Tyson to the Saints. I like that. It's a possibility. I've got his Mekhi Lemon, but same line of thought. At 9, Jeremiah Love to the Chiefs. Matches what I'm thinking. A lot of people are thinking that. At 10, again, matching my way of thinking here with Caleb Downs. Going to the Bengals at 10. Been 10 years since the top 10 pick has been used on a pure safety. And that's what that would reflect there with Cincinnati. At number 11, Connor has Jermod McCoy, corner, Tennessee. I think that's a great matchup if it happens. That would reflect Miami passing on Mansour Delane, which is interesting. There's not like a set-in-stone number 1 top corner. We'll see how McCoy does in the workouts, proving that he's all the way back from that torn ACL from January of last year. So at 12, Dallas also with a number 20 selection. But if you're thinking Delane could be a top 5 pick, in this case for Dallas, get him at 12. And some see this as more the range where the corners would really be valued, the top corners. So we'll see if those opinions change over the next couple of months or if that kind of stays the line of thinking the way it is now. A lot of team considerations to be made here, and free agency, of course, will impact things as it always does. My reaction here to the first mock draft for the 2026 cycle for Connor Rogers of NBC Sports. Connor at 13, LA Rams, Mekhi Lemon. That's kind of flipped what I have with the 8 and the 13, Saints at 8, Rams at 13, whether it's Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, one or the other there. Checks out, matches up. Speaking of checking out, checks in with Vega, Ioane, Ravens 14. Perhaps the best interior offensive lineman in the draft. Many people think that with Vega. 15, Cassius Howell, edge, Texas A&M. This would reflect Sonny Styles off the board, so the Buccaneers instead go with an edge need. how that 11.5 sack performance last season for Texas A&M, solid performer. 16, Denzel Boston to the Jets. So the Jets here at 2 go with the edge rusher. Then at 16, go with the wide receiver, the 6'4 wide receiver, Denzel Boston. Connor's mock here to the Jets at 17, TJ Parker. You're going to see his name rising up more and more in that whole pecking order, if you want to call it that, for the edge rushers in this particular class. The Lions, I'm not sure how Aiden Hutchinson, they'll work, so they got to keep Hutchinson there, but they could really use somebody like Parker opposite him. Lions, got to stay healthy on defense. If they can, look out. At 18, Minnesota Vikings, Caden McDonald. There's been some thought if the Vikings don't go with a corner or a safety here at 18, instead they might go defensive tackle. And McDonald, certainly one of the top prospects at that position. Had those 8.5 tackles for loss last season. The Ohio State Buckeyes. That's a lot of times playing at that 0 position, that nose guard, as he used to call it. But, a solid player there and could fit well with Minnesota. At 19, Carolina. So Connor's got C.J. Allen. Linebacker, Georgia. As much as I've talked about Allen down at number 30 to Denver, he might not fall to Denver. Could go to Carolina. You'll see a lot of different projections with Carolina. Here it's Allen at 19. Dallas back on the board at 20. And look at that. They get Keldrick Falk. Pretty nice there for the Cowboys if Falk's still on the board. There's been talk that Falk could go top 10. He's got the size. As they noted here, as Connor notes, 6'6", 285 pounds. With length. At 21, Pittsburgh Steelers, Ty Simpson. And as noted here by Connor, we'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. He's coming back. If they can get him to come back, talk him back. At 22, LA Chargers, Spencer Fano. So I'm not the only one that says Fano might fall not only out of the top 5, but even out of the top 20. I mean, he's still a first-round prospect. It's just, that's the way these things go. You know, if you watch this at all, and these drafts, you got a way of surprising you. At 23, I know some Eagles fans would be really happy with this. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end, Oregon. Eagles at 23. 24, Cleveland Browns, Caden Proctor. So we're thinking alike on that one with Tate and Proctor. To Cleveland at 25, Connor has Peter Woods to the Bears. So Woods is not necessarily going to be the first defensive tackle taken in this draft. We'll see how he does at the Combine in Indianapolis. A strong performance there could boost him back up a bit. At 26, Buffalo Bills, Jake Golday, linebacker, Cincinnati. Well, linebacker, well, yeah, if C.J. Allen's not there, a few options. Golday could surprise some people and show up in the late part of that first round. A viable contender. At 27, San Francisco 49ers, Casey Concepcion. Obviously depends on what happens with free agency, as with everybody, but a lot of talk the 49ers could go receiver at 27. At 8, Texans fill that interior offensive line need. Emmanuel Pregnon, OG, offensive guard, Oregon. 29, Colton Hood to the Rams. I really like the idea of the Rams at 13 getting a receiver. If they get one of the perhaps top 3 receivers, if you look at it that way, between Tyson, Lemon, and Tate. And then come back at 29. There's going to be plenty of corners in this range that could go. So I like that. At 30, Caleb Banks, Denver Broncos. And Banks performed well at the Senior Bowl. He helps to continue to perform well. So everybody's healthy and able to perform at a high level, because when he is, he's a difference maker. Great athleticism. 31, Caleb Lomu, young player. Redshirt sophomore out of Utah, and here New England boosts up its offensive line. Will Campbell didn't want to talk to the press after the Super Bowl. And here it's Caleb Lomu at 31. At 32, Seattle Seahawks, Keith Abney II, corner, Arizona State. And there's a lot of different corners in that mid to late first range. So that was my reaction to the first mock draft of this cycle for Connor Rogers of NBC Sports. Go over one more now from Michael Middlehurst-Schwartz of USA Today. 6:04 a.m. Eastern. Up early. So I urge you, I'll have the links in the YouTube description. Go through and read these for yourself. And be sure, of course, to visit the DKDB. It's on the DraftKing.com domain, but it's rebranded DKDB. Let's see what Michael has here. 1, Mendoza to the Raiders. Everybody's going to have that. At 2, Arvell Reese to the Jets. That's what I have. That's more often than not what you'll see at this point projected for the Jets at 2. At 3, the Cardinals going offensive tackle. We're thinking alike here so far for the first 4, at least. Francis Maui Noah, offensive tackle, Miami Hurricanes. So that right offensive tackle position for the Cards at 3. At 4, the Titans, Ruben Bain Jr. Talked about that a lot, and I'll continue to. I really like that pairing, especially because on first and second down, you can have Bain out there. He's not going to be a liability. Got that motor. He'll play to the whistle every time, full effort. At 5, Carnell Tate to the New York Giants. Malik Neighbors. From what I understand, his recovery process from that knee injury last year on the mend. Could be looking strong for this season, but Giants could go with a secure, proven, solid talent like Tate at 5. We can see that. And at 6, Cleveland Browns. So we've seen a couple, including my mock, that had Spencer Fano a little lower, but instead here, Michael's got Cleveland taking Fano at number 6. And the thought here, okay, if you get a tackle at 6, frees you up to go with potentially a wide receiver at 24, or perhaps another position. At 7, Commanders, David Bailey, edge rusher, Texas Tech. You'll see a lot for the Bain. If it's Bain to the Titans at 4, then Bailey to the Commanders at 7, or vice versa. Again, before free agency, a lot of this is going to change. At 8, this is interesting. Michael has Jeremiah Love to the Saints. I've seen some mocks that have that. Personally, I think the Saints would be better served going with one of those top receivers, but it depends who's on the board, who they like, and Jeremiah Love would be, any team would be well served to add him if they could. Talking about these first-round picks, these are premiums. But Love is versatile. Again, he's a great receiver as well. You're not going to go that high as a running back if you're just mediocre at best as a receiver. Also, a dependable runner. He'd be a great addition to the Saints, but I think they've got needs in other positions that could potentially tilt it. Here at number 9, Mekhi Lemon to the Chiefs at 9. My reaction to the latest mock draft from Michael Middlehurst-Schwartz of USA Today. So Michael at 9 says Lemon to the Chiefs. At 10, Caleb Downs, Cincinnati Bengals. Seen a lot of that. 11, Jermod McCoy, Dolphins. And then, again, 12, Cowboys, Mansour Delane. So it'll be a question. We'll see what happens in free agency with the Giants, but there's a chance some of these corners will be here for these teams in this 11-12 range. At number 13, look at this. Brandon Cisse, LA Rams. I like that a lot. I think Cisse is going to... I've been saying this for a while now. Cisse, I believe, will impress people at the Combine. He's expected to run a very fast 40. And so the Rams go Cisse at 13. At 14, got another Vega to Ravens connection. Ione for the Ravens at 14. 15, Sonny Styles. So here's one where Styles is on the board. He's not gone in the first 14, and Tampa Bay takes him at number 15. I agree with Michael. If Styles is on the board, I think that seems like a distinct possibility. The Bucs could use him. Styles, that hybrid linebacker safety. At 16, the Jets. If you get Jordan Tyson at 16, there's been some talk of him as a top 10, top 8, or higher even. So to get him here at 16, nice pickup for the Jets. At 17, Michael's got the Detroit Lions going Keldrick Falk. I can see it. Pressure off the edge. Boost up that defense. At 18, Colton Hood to the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings at 18 filled their need at corner. 19, Caden Proctor, Carolina Panthers. And this is noteworthy about that injury for Ekwonu. Yeah, ruptured patellar tendon. That's serious. We'll see what Carolina does with that situation. But Proctor, he's, as noted, for being 6'7", 366, the guy has versatility and athleticism. You just never seen guys that size. It's unheard of. That's part of the fun. You get these players, these special talents, and you get to talk about how they might fit with these various teams. At number 20, Dallas Cowboys. So you remember at number 12, Dallas went with Mansour Delane, so corner filled there, and now at 20, going safeties, going back-to-back defensive backs. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Dallas Cowboys, pick they received as part of the Micah Parsons trade. 21, Pittsburgh Steelers, Casey Concepcion. Several different options for the Steelers at wide receiver. That's expected to be an area they'll give strong consideration to here. 22, LA Chargers, Caleb Banks. He impressed people in Mobile enough to stay like a viable argument for sticking here in this latter part of the first round, if not even a surprise higher up potentially. Missed all but 2 games last season. Look, this is my reaction to the latest mock draft from Michael Middlehurst-Schwartz of USA Today. I encourage you to go to the DKDB. It links you right to him. You click on it, boom, it's there. Real easy. 23, Monroe Freeling to the Eagles. That's interesting. I mean, there's been plenty of talk of Freeling as the first rounder. It's a distinct possibility for Philly. And so that's what Michael sees here at 23. At 24, Cleveland Browns. Denzel Boston, receiver. Washington, 6'4". And so you think with Cleveland up at number 5, or number 6, I should say, going Spencer Fano, and then back down here at number 24, and then you go receiver, Denzel Boston. That's a viable path there for Cleveland. At 25, TJ Parker, edge rusher, Clemson. Lots of talk of him. A very high likelihood player to go in the first round. Akeem Mesidor at number 26. Michael's got him going to the Bills. So the Bills not going linebacker or receiver, but instead the soon-to-be 25-year-old Mesidor going to the Bills at 26. Number 27, Kenyon Sadiq still on the board and going to the 49ers, which is interesting. We'll see. And again, with the talk that Freeling might be a consideration here for the 49ers if he's gone and Sadiq's there, that could be the move for the 49ers. At 28, Michael has Lee Hunter, defensive tackle, Texas Tech, part of that great Texas Tech team from this past season. Has some solid defensive linemen, including Hunter. Well, there is thought the Texans could go with an interior offensive lineman. Here it's Lee Hunter to the Texans at 28. At 29, Michael's got the LA Rams going with Jeremy Bernard. Had a great season for Alabama, made the right move to come back to college for the 2025 season. He's got a possible shot landing late in that first round. At 30, CJ Allen to Denver. If he's there. The way it looks now, at least with team needs, that would be a great matchup. 31, Cassius House still on the board. And his measurables won't be likely the ideal range, but the performance from last season with the Aggies, 11.5 sacks. Patriots made to the Super Bowl. Boost up that edge rush a bit. And finally at 32, Seattle with the impending expected free agency departures at corner. Several options here, and Avion Terrell still on the board at 32 to Seattle. And so that's my reaction to the latest 2026 NFL mock draft from Michael Middlehurst-Schwartz. I'll be continuing to update this throughout the day. The day after the Super Bowl, you get a lot as far as new mock drafts. Some people put their first ones out of the cycle. They wait until everything's locked in place, and then they break it out. And so I'll be keeping track of that. Be sure to bookmark the DKDB 2026 page. Come back to it. I'll tell you the exact time it was updated. You can access my mock Of course, all these others in here. Give you like a little... I try to pick 3 players from each particular mock to note that either this is a higher spot than some say, or low, or representative of whatever. I look for names that don't appear as often, that interest me. You sometimes pick up on patterns that way. So a very fun thing we've got here with the DKDB, this curated 2026 NFL mock draft database. You know I believe in it. I put my name on it. I'm Lou Pickney. So thanks for watching. Plenty to come between now and night 1 of the NFL Draft, April 23rd. Again, be sure to check out the DKDB. Bookmark it. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Bye for now.